Hello, and welcome to this review of the Duke's Heiresses historical romance book series by Madeline Hunter. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot. You're watching Random Olive Reads. Heiress for Hire is book one of the series. We find a duke with no wife or children who passes away and leaves none of his fortune to his many family members. Instead, he leaves an inheritance to three strangers who the family is not acquainted with. The Duke's nephew, Chase, who was previously in the army, is charged by the family to find these women who have been left with such a fortune. He ends up entangled with one of the heiresses, Minerva, who has never met the Duke before and has a history of an abusive husband and changing her name after he died. Since the Duke had died under suspicious circumstances, Minerva believes that she will be a suspect with a clear motive for his death. She thinks that the best way to protect herself from being accused is to find out who the actual responsible party is. Meanwhile, Chase is leading his own investigation into the matter and keeps running into Minerva as they're simultaneously separately working on the same case. I liked seeing these two continually interact and bicker with each other and slowly develop a romance. With Minerva's terrible late husband, it was nice to see Chase be so protective and patient with her. This was a good introduction to the Duke's family dynamics and an interesting setup for the mystery of his death. Book two of the series is Heiress in Red Silk. Kevin is distressed and annoyed that his uncle gave partnership of his business to a complete stranger. When he finally discovers that Rosamond is a milliner in a country town, he sends his cousin in law Minerva to inform her of her inheritance. At first, Kevin is anxious to meet her so that he can convince Rosamond to sign away her decision making rights to his enterprise, but she is far savvier than that and wants to have an equal say in anything that happens. Rosamond has her own history of having worked as a maid and then becoming a milliner's apprentice and ultimately opening her own shop for fine hats. She anticipates that her newfound fortune will help improve her and her sister's station. Once Kevin realizes that Rosamond is not a total pushover, he tries to befriend her to gain influence instead. Along the way, there's the meddling of his family, the mystery of his uncle's death, and Rosamond's attachment to a former love. I liked seeing Kevin and Rosamond interact with each other, and Rosamond demand to have things her way. She's clever and strong-willed and absolutely delightful to read. The third and final book of the series is The Heiress Bride. The new Duke, Nicholas, is still adjusting to his inherited status and he's feeling the stress of his responsibilities. He is surprised when he receives a visit from the last of the late Duke's heiresses, Heiress. She is a rare book dealer and has come to inquire about a particular rare book that the late Duke had said he would assist her in looking for. Iris had only recently learned that the Duke had passed away and is completely surprised by her inheritance. Nicholas agrees to assist her in finding this book, but is also suspicious of Iris, so he intends to keep a close eye on her. This is another book in the series where the two main characters really start on opposite sides of an argument, but also can't seem to stay away from each other. This book was really interesting in terms of Iris's family history and scandal with her grandfather. We also reopen the investigation into the late Duke's death and wonder if Iris or Nicholas become targets for violence as well. And I also enjoyed the big reveal at the end when we start to dig into the attics at the country estate. This series is pretty tightly connected, so I do recommend reading it in order. We have a Duke who passes away, leaves a lot of money to three seemingly random women for no apparent reason. And somehow we have a group of similarly aged cousins who all get paired up with these women. I liked how all the women were strong and independent and had their own personalities and interests, and how their new partners learned to embrace that. There are a lot of meddling family members throughout all three books, so we get to learn a bit about their personalities and how they all interact. I like the overarching mystery of the Duke's death and how it created suspicion throughout the series. Overall, the series had a lot of interesting plot going on and was a good binge read. Thanks so much for watching this video. Links to all of these books are in the description box. Like and subscribe to get updates, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.